Just started to wake and I could see the first signs of day. The light comes through the window like a golden gleaming ray. When I could see you lying next to me.
The bulk of the people that came up to volunteer and that we were riding with were building their own things, whether it was in their backyard, if they had property. I mean, people built in Oakledge Park, behind the Burlington High School. If someone randomly, if the town was doing a sewer project, there'd be piles of dirt, we'd go shape them into something to ride on.
We made it all up as we went. There was no real rhyme or reason. We just know that we wanted to develop something in this area. I believe one or two other mountains had a fledgling downhill program going. I think probably the oldest being Mount Snow down there, but we wanted our own scene up here.
We just didn't want anything watered down. We didn't want anything easy. We wanted it to be challenging. We wanted to step it up over everybody else. And we were kind of successful at it. Whether it was built correctly or not, it was difficult.
We used to always say, if you can ride here, you can ride anywhere, especially back in '05. That was always the thing. I mean, I was like 12 at that time, so I was riding on the work roads and little trails here and there, but it was still rad for me. I mean, just seeing people rip off the van, and I'd ride off the van and jump over it, but little stuff is fun. Just hiking they had little balance features here and there. I don't know if you guys remember those, but little A-frames with wood beams to balance. They were pretty high up too, so they were like, you didn't want to mess up, but they were wicked fun though. And like just the hip jump, all the classic features that really, some of them still here today, which is sick.
VTFR is, a bunch of us youngsters looking for places to ride and deciding to build our own, like all the other mountain bikers in the world were doing at the time. VTFR is Vermont Free Ride. Free riding was the hottest, latest, coolest thing, throwing huge gaps, often to horrible flat landings.
Rialt and his team came in and struck a deal and rented the lifts on the weekends once a month. And we had upwards of like 360 people a day riding the chair, which back then was huge. And I like to think that through that program, we did develop free riding downhill to the next level in central Vermont, northern Vermont, for sure.
But so we had this inn with Bolton Valley, and eventually we saw this need, and I was like, can I rent the mountain? Can we go ahead and do some kind of a festival or a program or something, build stunts for it, invite all our friends up, and basically have a big party? I think I agreed to rent it in maybe April or May, and spent, 2 months with friends up here making trails, building little stunts, little things, little jibs, little launches, and then we did a festival in the summer. Rented it for the weekend, and it went off big. And next summer we had a bike program. So,
how was the party?
Party was stellar.
on the second year when I came in on my involvement, which was amazing, I think Mike Gallus was the mountain manager then, and he just said, Codling, get out there and make sure they got what they need. So I went and grabbed an excavator, mules, anything I could get my hands on that the mountain ops team didn't know, either A, didn't know we had at the moment, or a lot of the guys were still there. Jake, he was around doing that with us. He'd let the mules go out once in a while.
Back then I was working with Todd a little bit there. I was the head mechanic back then, so we were getting the lift ready for him and stuff like that. And every once in a while I'd come up and help out where I could, or bring my little Trek 900 out and get down some of the stuff. And then eventually I got somebody loaned me a downhill bike for an end of the day run. Got down the bottom of the hill, I was about ready to go get a credit card.
And then we just grew from there. We had Cannondale gave me a call, and we got their old Cannondale team bus and brought that up, the Sobe Cannondale bus, and proceeded to drag it up lift line 1 and sat that in the middle of the lift line, not quite sure what to do with it. And then Rialt had the idea to build this big dragon roller coaster jump off the back of it, which proceeded to be one of the biggest and gnarliest hits we had on the hill.
But everyone was building, and that was just, and that's still sort of the culture today. Everyone does some volunteer hours and that kind of thing, but at the time it was like who could build the craziest, biggest thing. And then they'd invite you over to their house, and all you do is session one trick or one stunt or whatever. And so that pushed us even harder up here,
There's a lot of time in the woods with some really good people. A lot of mosquito bites. Safe work practices. I was even accused of cheating on my girlfriend with Todd Ralt. Ew. I was questioned. You spend too much time with him up there. What are you doing? But, such is life. Yeah.
You guys remember before we built up the lip on Waterfall Gap there?
It was flat.
Pretty flat landing. That was kind of the way it rolled back in the day. I came off that thing, and I pretty well had my rear wheel in the brook, man. I pretty much landed crank to knuckle on that thing. And I lived to tell the tale.
Jeez.
I went back up.
No broken bike.
And frickin' came at it again. Frickin' nailed the LZ. Frickin' easy as could be. And that's I was pretty proud of myself at that point.
Some lazy afternoon riding around on the mule, and like me and another Aaron Codling, another trail building cat, came through here, and like the waterfall was flowing real good, and we was like, we should jump over that. And by the end of the day, we had this thing constructed, and it was probably still 2 weeks before anyone would send themselves off of it. The landing zone was dead flat, or pretty close to it. And it looks real nice right now. It looks flowy and smooth. I can't wait to send myself off it again.
From 2003 to roughly 2007, building the program, growing it, becoming the spot really to go to in New England, and we set a standard where if you can ride Bolton Valley, you can ride anything, which I believe still carries on for the skiing and riding here in the winter. We grew to a point where our lift lines went from the bottom of lift 1 all the way around to the rental shop with bikes. And then 2005, we ended up with new owners who just didn't see the overall value of it, even with the limited expense that had been spent on it, and they decided to close the program. We all still came up and built anyway, and kept trails going, kept some of the key trails going. And there were some others, I believe Tim Lagerstad and Drunk Ian and a couple others up here building trails and just keeping them open and going and adding to them and making bigger drops and crazier stuff. And then Jake still here on the hill. I'm sure he had his hands in a lot of that over the last few years, and now he's the man with the plan, and it's an amazing feeling.
But any case, Bolton got out of it, and then shortly thereafter, just kind of kept on riding up here, and met a couple other guys that were still riding up here, and then we all became good buds and started doing some of the upkeep and trail work and a couple of little add-ons here and there. And
So Todd and Todd did have a vision
and it was unfortunate that they weren't able to fulfill it. So I think our biggest thing was coming in and continuing what they were doing, you know, as a place to ride. For me, like I said, I used to downhill race, and it's a great place to train here because it's really technical. It's tough riding, and if you can ride here, then you're going to be doing well at other places.
Yeah, and we just kind of rolled with it like that, and you know, always talking about what was going to happen in the future. Are they just going to send the cops up after us someday and kick us out, or take the place back over, say thanks for the work, get out of here? And but no, exact opposite happened. Deloriers came back in, and Lindsay took over, and we were just completely honored and humbled to be invited to the first talk they had about getting mountain biking going again there.
People now are realizing what we have known for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
It's how good this place is.
Like,
right?
Well, no, it's
like
good,
you
but
should
it's
wear a
also
full
really
face.
challenging. Like when Jake said that, it's like, well, a lot of people come here and they see that, and it's really freaking hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, for an average mountain biker, you know, it's there's a lot of difficult stuff here, unless you ride it every day.
For any mountain biker, it's difficult.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think. I mean, doesn't matter. I mean, I think that's what's gonna be cool about what's coming is having the broad range of more beginner, intermediate, to all the way to expert. You know, and also just having lift service is gonna be huge again. And you know, walking up the work road's fun, but riding up lifts is even better.
I'm stoked. I say bring it on. I mean, progression is key to any program, and you guys are taking care to keep some of the original trails as they were, with a few touch-ups here and there. We're not really diving down into the creeks so much anymore, but bring it on. Bring on the progression, and I'm stoked to go down and see what is being built down here on Trail 1, is it?
I think stepping it up and bringing in Gravity Logic to take over anybody, just to keep it going and make a legitimate bike park at this place is pretty sweet. Bolton Valley is a pretty special place compared to a lot of other resorts and regions. Yeah, definitely. Where else do you get a view like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bolton Valley, like I think Tim was saying there, is like, I mean, pretty much like nothing else around, you know? It's like, we still got like the fall line, like gnarly, rocky, rooty, like, you can't just like check your brain at home and ride brown duff all day. It's like, you gotta like be on point like at every turn around here, and like, so like now we're bringing in Gravity Logic, trying to make a park out of the place, but at the same time, like, you know, we're definitely not willing to give that up, you know? Like, it's what we all love riding, and like, it's unique, and like people are stoked on it, and we just have a freaking hoot at it, and yeah, so like, you know, it's like trying to build some stuff, you know, it's a little more modern-esque, I guess, and everything, and but at the same time keep it Bolton, you know, keep it what Todd and the whole VTFR envisioned back in the day, and you know what us and everybody else still is really into it, you know. And
We did build the trails a little difficult, and they were fall line, and they were what we wanted at the time, and they still ride awesome. Bikes at the time, they did the best they could. I feel like with the new technology, new bikes, people have been riding this kind of terrain a little bit more. People's eyes have been opened up to what kind of terrain you can ride on a bike. I think the general public's ready for it now, where we would always hear it's too hard, it's not for the general public. Now it's perfect.